welcome to the Regular Joe's Podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Feel bad you missed such good pre-show.
It was like a half hour of pre-show golf.
The maker of the Genie bottle.
Some of it may have been silver, some of it may have been bronze, but...
we talked for a half hour before we started recording.
We went on a rabbit hole of ChillerCon, all kinds of good stuff, but sorry. You join Patreon to listen to pre-show golf.
Just keep searching on Patreon until you find us.
We should do that, because I listen to a podcast who, I'm sure others do it, they do an after show only for the Patreon members. We could just record, make everyone sign an NDA who joins the Patreon.
Oh, then we could be our true selves?
And then all the parts that we cut out are actually in there. Oh, yeah, that's going to go for about 3 weeks until one of us is fired. Okay.
To incriminate ourselves. Everything from hatchets to genie bottles.
Yeah.
But there's good stuff coming up, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. We're going to talk about some trailers. I know we actually skipped it the last 2 weeks, I believe, Mando and Picard. As we sit here, they both had their second to last episodes.
Yes.
Their last episodes are this week, so we're going to talk about those.
Lots to talk about there.
I hope I can remember everything.
Oh, I took notes. I will remind you.
Such short-term memory loss. But let's go some random. I think I have one or two. Todd, what do you got?
Okay. So Amazon has like 700 shows in development, including something Stargate related and something RoboCop related.
Haven't we had rebooted RoboCop?
And that's kind of what I was thinking, but about every 6 months we hear something about Stargate, but I haven't really heard it attached to Amazon before, and that is promising. So,
well, Amazon now owns MGM.
And that's why.
MGM.
Yes, right. So, I tell you, I would love to see them. I really don't want to see them reboot it. I would love to see them jump back in 15 years later, 20 years later, whatever they want to make it, and pick up the thread. But
with Richard Dean Anderson?
Do it with a much better budget than they had towards the end. And there's still a lot of stories to tell. So
it feels like Richard Dean Anderson needs to just be a cameo from now.
Oh, he could be, but the thing is, and that's, but you do all of them as cameos, as consultants or whatever. But, so, like I said, there's stories to tell. I think you have I think you have the program mothballed, and there's a reason they've got to start it back up again. And
wait, isn't that what they did? Yeah. I thought whatever happened to that web series? Or was that was a prequel?
Prequel, yes.
But here's the thing: you need to make it accessible to people who have never seen any of Stargate.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so
people aren't going to go back and rewatch 20 seasons of Stargate.
But you don't have to. You can go out to Richard Dean Anderson's house at the lake, and you can say we got a problem, and he says, no, we spent years doing this. And
always a problem.
There's always a problem. I'm not going to do it. And then of course he comes in, and then
they knock, and Carter is in a towel.
You might not want to see that now.
She still looks good.
Maybe it's Bridget Fonda in a towel.
Okay, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
No, Carter still looks good. I don't care, but they should have gotten together. That's my point. Whatever anyone looks like.
Yep.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, and it'd be cool if they actually went to alien worlds that didn't look like the woods of Canada.
And that's what I'm saying. There are got to be planets that don't look like Canada.
Every planet is Canada
and
for some reason.
And that's, I guess maybe I wasn't saying bigger budget, but I'm saying, use the video walls and use things like this and go do some of the stuff.
Go to a planet
that they could, they haven't gone to before, and could be cool.
Yeah, they never were in snow. You'd think it would snow in Canada. Were they ever on a snow planet?
Boy, I don't remember seeing that. No,
they were on a desert planet a couple times.
Yep.
I don't know where they did that.
It was desert in the movie. I mean, I've not seen a lot of all the series,
but no. All of Stargate was filmed in Canada, so it all looked like
it very much looked like Canada
or northeast or whatever it was. Anyway, Barry, what do you got?
Well, I don't have anything random, but I looked up today, just out of curiosity, a list of the upcoming movies that I care about, and I just thought I'd run down that list with you guys.
Okay.
To get you excited. There's some good stuff coming.
I was just mentioning that to people we had dinner with the other night. They're like, there's nothing in the movies. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Good
Here's
stuff
what's coming out. I'm sure it's the same list. Go ahead.
I'm sure it is. May 5th, Guardians 3.
Yes.
Didn't get my tickets yet, but I have to do that.
No, it's still got weeks.
Yeah, well, I know, but it's got to make sure I see it right away. June 2nd, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Todd, I know you're probably excited. Yep. Dave, maybe not so
Not
much.
on my radar. I did like that when I saw it at home, but I don't know if I'll see that in the movies.
June 16th, The Flash.
Definitely.
I'm excited about that.
I'm excited.
There's a teaser, a TV ad that just came out. Did you guys see that?
No.
So you get to see, both Bruce Waynes are in there. It's a little bit different. Some of it's different footage. Some of it's stuff we've seen. There's a longer Supergirl shot. I am starting to get disturbed about how excited I am about this movie.
Everyone says it's good. Ben Affleck was saying it's really good.
There's
a
great Michael Keaton unmasked shot, and I think that's...
Yeah, I saw the picture from that.
I saw a picture of that online.
It looks really good. And
the
shot isn't a whole lot different from the picture. He just said, something like, do you need help? And that's it. And I continue. Sorry.
Okay. June 30th, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes.
We're super excited about that. July 14th, Dave, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
What's bringing you there? Tom Cruise or Haley Atwell?
Both. I'm a big fan of the Mission Impossible series, but I'm a bigger fan of Haley Atwell. So,
So those are all movies you'll go see in the theaters?
Definitely excited. I'd like to. Let's put it that way. I don't know if I'll make it to see Spider-Man in the theaters, but I plan to see the rest of them.
Okay.
So here's a wild card. July 21st, the Barbie movie. Have you guys watched the trailer for the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
I'm feeling like it has to be something more than what's in that trailer, because that can't be 90 minutes of that.
I feel like they're going to do stuff that you would never...
That's what I'm thinking,
There will be some
too.
pushing the envelope of what you would think Barbie would be okay with. I will not see that in the theaters, but I would watch it.
Yeah. I would watch it, too, because of Margot Robbie's in it, and she's just great. But I don't know. I get the sense that there's something big that they're not showing in the trailer, like... Do they end up in People World, or something's going to happen?
If it's like a little bit of a
kind of like in the Lego Movie, only more of it.
The what? I would get a little bit of a free guy. Like, we're just toys, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, I could do this and that, and almost
Disney
a little
did
Pleasantville.
a couple of movies like that, right? With the
Pleasantville.
Yeah, it just feels like everything that they showed in that trailer. That's a 5-minute Saturday Night Live skit. That's not an hour-and-a-half movie. So there's got to be something more to it. If it's all that just for an hour and a half or 2 hours, that'll
be crazy.
Unwatchable.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling would have signed on for
just that. Right.
I agree. They don't need to do that.
Mattel is so incredibly protective of that IP.
They are. That's what the people are sort of saying. Like, it's a little surprising. There may be a whole, poking fun at all that, but who knows? Is this something you bring 6-year-old girls to? I don't know.
That's my other question. Is there going to be a whole lot of little girls who want to see this? Are girls at the Barbie anymore? I don't know.
I don't really know.
Potentially,
is it like G.I. Joe? Is it a collector thing?
And that is the thing. So yeah,
I don't know. It might be.
Do you know what it's rated?
X for some reason. NC-17.
Triple X. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but you look that up while I go down the rest of this list. All right, so July 21st, also the same day as Barbie, Oppenheimer, which I'm excited about. I mean, I'm hit or miss with Nolan. I'm hit or miss with his movies, but
the last couple movies,
I know, but this I've always been intrigued by this story and
historical that he can't just make it stupid like Tenet.
Right, exactly.
A piece of garbage.
I agree with you, and that's why I'm excited about it. And then the last one I have in the summer list is Blue Beetle, which I wasn't excited about in any way until we saw the trailer, and then all of a sudden I became excited about it. So, and in looking down the movie list, there's more. I'll stop here, but on the Cinema Blend movie list, they still have December 20th, Untitled Ghostbusters sequel. Is that really coming out this? But is it coming out this year? I don't think so.
They started filming it like a month ago.
Yeah, but there's no way it's coming out this December.
Effects and stuff, yeah, who knows?
The Barbie movie is PG-13.
Well, there you go. That could make it interesting.
I'm wondering if Barbie is now a collector thing, just like G.I. Joe.
You know how you could figure that out? Take a trip through a Walmart pink aisle and see.
But also,
I would bet there's a lot less product there than there used to be.
And I bet that Mattel maybe is less precious with it than they used to be.
That's what I'm saying. I bet it has gone more into the collector.
I think kids are more into Bratz. I'm not saying that Bratz is from 15 years ago, but whatever is
other
the new
styles
version
of
of
dolls,
that.
yeah.
Huh?
Other styles of dolls, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's stuff other kids are into, or little kids are into. Okay, I'm going to
that
put
ends
something
the Barbie
in.
segment, or no?
Yeah, well, that ends the summer movie segment.
I'm going to put something in the chat here, and let me tell you if you guys have seen this. I have not seen this. So there's a thing I saw this on LinkedIn. Funny enough, it's a Star Wars synopsis that's maybe like 8 sentences, and they basically crossed out a number of things and put in Harry Potter stuff in maybe 20 words, and it absolutely is the synopsis for the first Harry Potter movie, which is pretty funny.
I have not seen this before either.
The first line I'll give you: Luke Skywalker is an orphan living with his aunt and uncle on a remote wilderness of Tatooine. Harry Potter is an orphan living with his aunt and uncle in the remote wilderness of suburbia. He is rescued from aliens by a wise, bearded Ben Kenobi who turns out to be a Jedi Knight. He is rescued from Muggles by wise, bearded Haggard who turns out to be a wizard. It's pretty funny. I mean...
Luke is also instructed how to use a Jedi lightsaber, and he too trains to become a Jedi. Harry is also instructed on how to use a magic wand, and he also trains to become a wizard. Yeah, it is pretty...
It's pretty funny. They've changed like maybe 20 words.
Han Solo to Ron, Princess Leia to Hermione. Yeah.
But is this just because it follows the classic hero's journey that you can do this, or is it that J.K. Rowling ripped off Star Wars?
She ripped off Star Wars.
No, she totally didn't. She ripped off Tim Hunter and the Books of Magic. But yeah, no. This is but you could also do the same thing with The Force Awakens. You could totally do the same thing from The Force Awakens.
No, I know. I just thought it was funny. I hadn't seen it before, so we'll throw it up on Instagram if you haven't seen it. But that was funny. Any other random?
No.
You know who's not random? Fanboy Collectibles. Lots of stuff.
Can we talk for a minute about the new Hot Toys Batman Armory set? Did you see this, Todd?
Yes, I have that on my list.
Is it the clear one?
It's the clear one, but it comes with a Bruce Wayne
in like shorts and a black T-shirt.
But it's got non-posable arms and legs, so that you can literally pose him in this totally jacked arms crossed pose. But you can also set him up inside the Batman suit.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But by doing it this way, they don't show the joints, so it looks really real. I mean, I thought this was a picture of Christian Bale. I did not realize.
It's odd that they could have done. It's interesting that they went back to Christian Bale. Yeah,
this thing looks unbelievable. I mean, I know you guys both have a Batman Armory already. Yeah. So probably not something you necessarily want, but I was blown away by this.
But it's cool. If you didn't get one, check it out.
Check it out.
There's also 1/6 scale Dracula and Van Helsing from some company I never heard of. But if you like those, they're very old school looking.
Look good.
Gentle Giant Mando, bunch of statues. Grogu, Luke with Grogu. First, I thought that was the Hot Toys Luke, but it's not. It's the Gentle Giant statue.
Yep.
And Ahsoka. There's an Ahsoka statue. There's a Superman and Lois diorama. It's comic book style, which is cool. There's what's this guy's name? That is
a really cool Superman and Lois, I gotta say.
It's something from Lord of the Rings. Oregano statue?
Aragorn, maybe?
Aragon? No, I know who it is. Aragon statue. There's all kinds of stuff. There's Pops.
I really do like
Hot
these.
Toys.
I try to limit my Grogu stuff, but I do like the Grogu on the Rock. That's just awesome.
Yeah, that's a great statue.
So check those guys out. They got everything you need. Check them out online at fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them Regular Joe sent you.
Okay, still talking about Grogu and the Rock. Did you look at the pictures here?
Yes.
So he has both open eyes and closed eyes?
I think it comes with... it says it's interchangeable eyes.
That's awesome.
I was trying to figure out if the base lights up or if it's just silver paint. I think
really
it's just silver
paint.
Yeah,
that's a good question. I got to look into that. I like this.
It's a cool piece. Yeah, I was tempted by this.
Cool.
But when we get to what's in the box, you'll know why I probably am not pulling the trigger, because I get tempted by things.
I understand.
I forget 2 years later when they show up.
I think the only Grogu thing I have is I have the hat that I got at Disney with the little Grogu in the middle of it, and I've got the two Hot Toys figures that came with.
Oh, I got the animatronic.
Yeah, I didn't go that way.
Here he is.
And
he sits on my desk.
Yeah.
I should make my own costume for him and take him out of that Uncle Fester robe.
You should make a 1/1 scale IG-12.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So Barry, you said you were watching. You just watched Jack Reacher, which you hadn't seen. Is anyone watching? Did I mention I just watched The Night Agent, which I recommend on Netflix if you haven't seen it. It's good. It's better than The Recruit.
Oh, okay. How could it not be?
The Recruit wasn't horrible. It was watchable.
It was weak as
I didn't think it was horrible.
Okay, slow. Okay, extremely, incredibly slow horses.
Which actually had a good and plausible story. It's just not...
Hey, lawyers go in the field all the time. What's your problem?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is probably a little on the implausible, but it's good. Action, good story. Anyway, any other recommends watching that's not in our little thing that we're always talking about? Anybody?
I'm looking for stuff. I'm kind of caught up.
I'm in a little bit of a lull. We finally went back and finished Umbrella Academy Season 3.
Yep.
I saved that because I was waiting to have nothing else to watch, and it was good.
Yep.
I still haven't watched Evil, the last season of Evil. I need to go back and watch that.
That's good too. You got to watch that. And
yeah, and we, like I said, we watched. I was texting you guys last night. I watched the Baz Luhrmann's Elvis movie last night. It's long and it's very stylized. And while I was watching it, I was Googling all the things that were inaccurate about it because I just knew as I'm watching it, there's no way that happened. But it was very stylized. I mean, the coolest thing for me was that there were a couple Star Trek references in it that I was just like, wow, I didn't expect that.
That's weird. Yeah. I started watching Rabbit Hole, which is not great.
Yeah, that's Hulu, right? Oh no, but you're watching it on network, right?
It's on Prime.
So, just out of curiosity, Barry, you were talking about Vegas in the 90s, right?
Yep.
That was Vegas in the 90s. He was dead in the 70s.
Exactly. He died in 77.
No, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Star Trek Experience was at the same hotel Elvis used to play at.
It was the Rio.
It was, but I think it was something before that. Because they were, in the beginning of the movie, they were zooming into the hotel itself, and they had the Enterprise on the big sign. And it said
he wasn't alive at that point in the movie, because that would also be an inaccuracy.
No, he was not alive at that point of the movie, but I think they were zooming into the hotel itself, and they had the big sign that said Star Trek
weird.
Experience.
Someone's got to start. Baz Luhrmann? Who's got a Star Trek thing going?
When they were filming his 68 comeback special, they were in the studios at NBC, and through the windows of the control room, there were posters of Spock and Uhura and Kirk on the wall in NBC.
That's weird. That's an odd thing to have thrown in there that you
Easter eggs that I was just kind of like, wow, this is not what I at all expected to see in the Elvis movie. So
cool. All right, let's go some trailers. More trailers.
Yeah, it seems like there's been an endless supply lately.
Yeah, we have 3 new ones. Marvels.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect from that movie when they announced it, and I think we all agreed that the Ms. Marvel show started off maybe a little rocky, but got really good, and I enjoyed it.
Good, yeah.
And I feel the same. I liked WandaVision, didn't love parts of WandaVision, but I think this movie looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I watched that trailer and I'm like, this looks fun. Yeah.
And I think they need to do something different with Captain Marvel because she's so overpowered, and they needed something to just get her earthbound and just not omnipotent. And this is I think this is a great way of doing it.
Putting her in that white tank top was a good start.
Was also an excellent choice. But what I'm saying is having her not have complete control over her powers is an excellent way of doing this.
Yeah. No,
I like that opening scene in the trailer a lot when it's, what's her name? I'm already forgetting. But then she touches the wall and then you hear the voice and she's screaming and you're like, what the hell? And then you realize when she gets to the window that it's actually Kamala Khan. It was pretty funny. And then she's freaking out.
She is just teleported, not just into space, but into someone else's spacesuit. She's in a spiral and then she's, hey, it's Nick Fury.
She sees Nick Fury and she starts to fangirl out. It was just so funny.
It's cute. Yeah,
but it was also
interesting how they're leaning into stuff that came out of 2 different series, but I'm guessing they'll explain enough so that you don't have to.
I think they will.
Series.
I think you get just in the fact that they go back to her house, you're going to get orientation there.
Yeah.
But I will say,
Monica Rambeau, you don't know what her deal is,
right? That was the name I couldn't think of, but I do think we are firmly in a territory now where, and I'm going to say the same thing about Star Wars. If you haven't seen some of the previous material, you're going to have a harder time catching up on some of this stuff. Like, if you haven't seen WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, this movie's not going to make a lot of sense. And maybe they'll do their best to explain it.
I think they'll do their best to explain, but I also think that you're bringing 3 characters together who have never actually been together. So there's got to be some explanation just to get them all up to speed.
You would think.
Oh yeah, they don't know who each other are, so why not?
I still stay in Kevin Feige. We trust, and I'm still hanging on to trusting
Captain Marvel.
We're still trusting you.
Hasn't seen Monica since she was a child, right? So, yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Well, we don't know that. You think she could have?
I mean, it's possible she did, but they've never shown us that.
Right, but she left Earth in the 90s. Monica was gone during the blink.
But you never came back and visited her? Come on, you said you would.
Well, she didn't come back until Nick Fury set off the pager.
Exactly. So
how do you know she didn't visit all the time? Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
But it does look fun. So that's...
Well, if she had visited, then the Avengers might not have been like, who the hell are you, when she showed up. It's not like they were like, oh,
what
you're
if
back.
she visited in the 80s? I mean, not the 80s, like the early 2000s, pre-Avengers.
I think she's been like doing the Galactic Cop thing. I think she's been out there dealing with stuff, and again, she was the one that could find Nick Fury. Tony Stark and Nebula when they were way out there and stuff. I think she spent a lot of time out there. So, and also remember, she was also the Kree had her out there to begin with. So
that's true. So that is true.
I think keeping them in check was probably her priority. So,
yeah.
I was surprised by the tone of this, and it just looks like fun, which I'm excited.
It does,
about.
And that's what they need right now.
It's Guardians. Then that's the next one.
Yep.
Yeah, but they pushed it out to November. It doesn't come out till November now.
And then, is there anything else in this year?
No, not in Marvel.
And that's
they're going to rip your heart out with Guardians, and then they're going to give you a sort of a fun thing.
Yeah, although, I didn't finish the list all the way out through the end of the year, but I mean, and I don't know if we care anymore, but Aquaman 2 is coming out in December.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it on HBO Max?
It will be eventually. But it's going to just be called Max
after it comes out.
Max? Is that on Max? And then, the Continental, which is in September.
It's a 3-part event.
Peacock 3-part.
Yeah.
Peacock. All right, so I won't see it because I don't pay for
Didn't look anything. Didn't grab me.
Oh, I liked that it's taking place in the 70s in New York. I thought that was kind of cool. I actually liked that trailer more than the next one we're going to talk about. But I thought it looked good. I mean, it's weird to take the John Wick universe and take John Wick out of the John Wick universe.
What I'm saying.
But
yeah.
I mean, and maybe it's going to center around the guy, how he got control of the Continental.
Yeah. I mean, it just didn't grab me. I mean, I don't know, but I don't have Peacock anyways.
The fact that it's only a 3-part thing was actually intriguing to me because they're not.
It's sort of like I don't have to sit through 10 episodes.
Yeah. And they're not going to stretch the story out. It's interesting that we have a whole Wickiverse now between this and Ballerina.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see whether this has legs other than his should be broken, hit by a car 10 times legs. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So it's young Winston, basically.
Yeah,
right.
We'll see. So you didn't like the Penguin?
It's not that I didn't like it. So the last trailer we're going to talk about is for the Penguin, which is a spin-off from The Batman. It looks like it picks up right where the movie leaves off because he's looking out over Gotham and it's still flooded.
And maybe there's a trailer at one point, right?
Right. It just it's a teaser trailer. It really doesn't tell you much. It's just him walking like the Penguin and shooting people, and
it's a crime thing. Batman's got to show up, even briefly. Maybe
this is Sopranos through a Gotham City lens.
Yes.
Okay. So, it'll be interesting. I think this is him probably trying to make a power grab under the Batman radar, and I think this is essentially a prequel for the next movie. So I think
it could be.
I think it looked okay. I mean, I didn't. I'm not like super excited about that character. He's no Burgess Meredith. That's what in my opinion.
Or
I liked his character in the Batman movie. I just don't know if it's a strong enough character to build a whole series around. But maybe
who knows? I
think the main character in this movie is Gotham City. I think they're framing it around him, but I think it's going to be all about this whole underworld, and I think they're going to be able to develop that and build that in a way that they can't in a single Batman movie. So,
do you think they're going to introduce other characters from like a rogues gallery during this, like to introduce other
super
villains?
Villain type characters. I think I almost prefer. I think I a lot of time prefer the Batman crime stories versus the supervillain stories, and I think this allows them to go. There's now a power struggle. Carmen Falcone has been taken off the board, and this is going to be infighting among mobsters, and I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. So, you get to see him triple tap a dude right there in that shot,
and just start laughing. Yeah, all he does is laugh after he does it.
He's missing doesn't have the laugh right.
The only thing he's got that makes him penguin-y is the walk up the stairs. He waddles on his way up the subway stairs.
Yeah, well,
they're trying to make a very real gritty, Gotham and stuff. Now, you watched the TV show Gotham. Was that sort of all about this underworld stuff, but just not done well?
Yeah, but they tried to shoehorn in a whole lot of like proto versions of the
young Bruce Wayne. I watched a few episodes. Didn't grab me.
I think my favorite character in the whole thing was Alfred, because the Alfred character was very, very good. But they kept trying to shoehorn in earlier versions of a bunch of characters, and
and also like Catwoman and stuff. Yeah, that's kind of like we're gonna make a show about Gotham, and it doesn't have anything to do with Batman, but we got to start shoehorning like teenage Batman. Teenage.
They teased the Joker, but they didn't really make the Joker, and they did. They had Mr. Freeze, and they had Mad Hatter, and they had Poison Ivy, and. Yeah, again, it was. You think of it as like an alternate reality version of that.
How about the Bookworm? Bookworm?
No Bookworm and no King Tut.
King Tut?
No King Tut?
How about Mr. Freeze? Was there a Mr. Freeze?
How about Egghead? Egghead.
So,
I don't know.
All right, so we'll see. Yeah. We've got few months, several months, and probably more than a year to figure those out.
Yeah. Like I did the movies, I'll have to put together a list of all the series that are coming out between now and the end of the year that we're start getting excited about. I'll work on that.
Cool. Okay.
So I one thing I was going to mention, I totally forgot, but I'm just going to slide it in here. It is 10 years since this week, and there's different things going on about that, since the Americans debuted. I can't believe it was that long ago.
Wow.
Really?
But there's a good NPR interview today with Kerry Russell, and yeah. So
did you watch that when it was on? Because I did.
I watched it from episode 1. I
didn't.
okay.
I watched it after.
I saw the
binged the
first
whole
episode.
thing
I was
after it was all
curious
over.
about what it was, and I followed that whole train, and it was just a great show. And if you have never seen it, you can go back and watch it now. And like I said, it's not dated because it's set in the, it's a period piece. So
yeah, I loved it, but I'm kind of glad I didn't see it when it first debuted because I was able to just binge through the whole thing, and I love that show. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, not exactly uplifting and life affirming, but great.
Do you remember Jodie Cormier in there?
No.
No, well, who did she play in there?
She was the other prisoner in the prison cell in Russia with the woman who got the secretary who got caught,
the secretary
who
woman?
she betrayed. She was. It took me the longest time to figure that out, but she was the one who she made friends with and then betrayed so that she could get
Interesting.
better her own position.
I don't think I knew who she was at that point. Maybe.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't-
nobody did,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the first things she did. But I always was like, I've seen this woman somewhere, and I couldn't figure it out. And that's what it was. So, just a great show. And just think of it. At this moment, somewhere right now, Martha in her 90s is still living in misery.
Still in Russia.
Still in Russia.
Oh boy! Did they just give her the shaft? That
She
was
got
awful.
screwed so many
yeah.
different ways on that show,
Yep,
and you just felt bad for her.
Yep. Yep.
Well, and I'm just going to drop this, and we're not going to talk about it, but because you mentioned 10-year anniversaries, we are about a month out from our podcast's 10-year anniversary.
Yep.
There you go.
That's crazy.
We have epic plans.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, let me in on that sometime soon.
If anybody out there has a thought on what we should do, drop us a line.
Yes. Join our Patreon, and
That's right.
you'll be only patrons will be in on the epic.
Wait, is it going to be Patreon, or should we do OnlyFans, Dave?
We'll do all. No one wants to see us in OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Oh, boy. So which one of these shows do you want to tackle first?
Do Mando.
Either one.
Do Mando first?
Mando. Okay, Mando.
All right, so we're talking about the penultimate episode, but can
But
we
we
just...
also want to go back to the.
I think we can talk about.
We
the
want to
season
go back
thus
to the
far.
Jump the Shark episode.
I think we have to go back to the episode prior. It was probably the first episode of any of these shows that I was just sitting there going, huh? I don't understand.
There are people who said they thought that was the best episode of the series.
Oddly, yes.
No
I
way.
And I don't understand that. But
So our friend Brian texted us that. Do you think he was being serious, or did you think he was kidding?
Oh, Brian's one of them too. We got to ask him.
We have to ask him
I
that.
think it was interesting. I think there were some. I think that it kind of had potential. I kind of like
talking
them
about
having
the
a
one where
thing that they had to
they're-
go
I
do.
just have three words: Jack Black and Lizzo.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying it was
Those are
that
4 words,
That
but-
show
Well,
was
and-
totally overtaken by the cameos, the quote unquote cameos.
It felt very. That's why I said Jump the Shark. It was very gimmicky.
Okay, just say this. This is the holiday special of Mando, right there.
I totally was thinking the same thing.
Yep.
I was totally thinking that.
And on a flip side of that, I loved all the Logan's Run references. Like the whole...
Oh my god, there was a ton of.
There was a
Logan's
ton
Run.
of like Logan's Run, like
the tube thing,
the whole tube system, and the fact that droid ball went crazy and was like the lasers were flying all over the place in the lab.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
I loved all of that stuff, and I liked it. Was like a side quest in a video game. It's like
Yeah, and
they
it
went
was
and
So
did
it
this
had
mission.
nothing to do with the story.
I
that
could
had
live with that
no
little
impact.
diversion thing. It just
Not for
three-quarters
of the episode.
but it felt
when
like
we
yeah.
when we only get 8 episodes a season,
Yeah.
you can't. If it was a 12-episode season, I would have had almost no problem with it. I say almost because Lizzo cannot act, and Jack Black, who I like, didn't fit.
but
Christopher
it's
Lloyd
funny
didn't bother me
like,
as much. But
all of a sudden, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, Jack Black, and then Pam was like, and that's Lizzo, and I would not have known that.
Me either.
I know of her, and I guess I know
we had a very
what
similar,
she looks like, but I just didn't really.
I just thought it was a woman who couldn't really act, but then I found
when
out
it was
she was
Jack
a singer.
Black, I was like, okay, they got one guy. Now it's like, oh my god, here's the cameo episode. Like, we don't need this.
And it's fine, sprinkle a cameo in, but it was 3 in one episode.
But the story did nothing to drive the story, and it made no sense. You want to go see the Mandalorian group, you have to do this first. Like, what's stopping you from going and doing it?
There were a million things in that plot.
Oh,
that
and
made
Christopher
no sense.
Lloyd. Don't forget Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. No, I mentioned him, but he at least
He could hardly speak.
But he didn't bother me nearly as much as the other two.
No, he's the Art Carney.
He is totally the Art Carney of this episode. I
forgot about Christopher. If it was just shoehorned in for no good reason,
if you
they
didn't
could have
do
always
the other
been like,
two and you just stuck him in there, that would have been a funny thing, and it would have been like, oh yeah, it's
I felt like he couldn't even get a line out.
But it was like, it was like parody. It really was. It was like a parody.
It totally was. It was very, very weird. And, I've been reading a lot, and people are saying that, Dave Filoni's been really focused on the Ahsoka show, and they brought on a third executive producer this season who's been directing a bunch of the episodes, and I just wonder if they've just been spread too thin with everything that they're working on.
Well, Favreau said, I read an article where he said, it's great. We've seen all these social media posts from a bunch of well-known people, and both Lizzo and Jack Black were always saying a bunch of stuff, how much they love Star Wars, and we had this story in mind, and then it doesn't feel like you had a story in mind and it made sense for them to put them in. It totally felt the opposite of, Jack Black and Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd, let's figure out a story that has no bearing on
George Lucas
anything.
almost put the Backstreet Boys in Attack of the Clones, and he had the good sense not to do it. Just because these people like your stuff doesn't mean you put them in your show.
So, I got a question. Is what's happening with this show basically what happened in Boba Fett, where Boba Fett got to be a secondary character in his own show? Because it's starting to feel this way. It's starting to feel like we're on Bo-Katan's quest, and he's the guy who's standing behind her. And
I have a funny feeling that by the end of the final episode that storyline is going to be somewhat resolved, and we're back to Mando and Grogu.
Doing what?
Well, we'll find out in season 4.
Well, they did nothing in this season, so it's just I think the whole
I don't know if I'd say nothing.
No, okay, so got to rescue the kid. All these people after the kid. Now the kid goes off to become a Jedi. Well, we change our mind. We get the kid back. Now he's going to become a Mandalorian, but he's too young to speak, so he can't really do that. And they need another story. They need to do something else.
When the show has been at its best.
This is the reunification of the Mandalorians that he basically helped drive. I get it. And it's cool, especially for you Clone Wars people.
Right, but I'll also tell you this. You can make a show work with a guy who never takes his helmet off unless his co-protagonist takes her helmet off. Okay? Because as soon as, she's stealing every single scene because you actually see something happening. You actually see emotion, you see whatever. And they got to either wrap this story up or hand the reins over.
I think they are, but...
Yeah. Well, now here... we're all spoilers if you haven't seen the last episode. So, we got through that difficult episode, and now, Grand Moff... What's his face?
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, not Grand. He's not Grand yet. Moff Gideon's here with, but it all came full circle from let's take back Mandalore. Moff Gideon destroyed Mandalore. Moff Gideon wants to get Grogu. Now it's all full circle. So now we got them on Mandalore. Moff Gideon had taken over. He wants Grogu. He wants the Mandalorian. I think it's fine.
As we're walking by the little tanks with the cloning experiments in them at one point.
Yep.
I really wanted to see a tank with just a hand in it. I really did. So
there was so much in this episode. I mean, very, very. It makes up for the last one, but just going back to what you were saying, Todd, I think that when this show has been at its best, it's been the adventures of Mando and Grogu, and
I agree, and that has not been what this.
And that's not what it's been, and I'm with you on that. Although it really feels like they are wrapping up and tying up things from season 1 and season 2 in this season, and I have a feeling that they're going to resolve a bunch of that stuff, and then we're going to be able to move forward. And this is going to lead into the Ahsoka show because you've got the introduction of Thrawn and everything.
That is my thing, though. It's like, how do you then separate if he is successful bringing the Mandalorians back together? How do you then separate him from them?
Well, let me ask you this though, and so now we're going to get a little deeper into what was going on. Are they going to bring back? Are they going to unify the Mandalorians, or are the Mandalorians going to be wiped out? I mean, they were set up in this episode. They were set up big time. So the episode was called Spies, which is plural. We know that one of the spies was that Elia Kane chick on Coruscant. Who else was the spies? Was it... So, and I wrote this down just because there's so much going on here. You've got the armorer who could have been setting them up this whole time.
I think they tried too hard to make you think it was her because, like, she conveniently left with those people and then she's going back to the ship. Did you expect the ship to get attacked while she was approaching it?
Well, yes. She's not there yet, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was the thing.
I totally thought the ship was being.
They totally set it up for something to happen there, but then we never went back to her.
You think the armorer set it up to get the other faction of Mandalorians wiped out?
I think she's enough of a zealot that she could have been in cahoots with Gideon this whole time because... So just bear with me for a second. Back in the Clone Wars, Darth Maul was the leader of the Mandalorians for a while. He was running something called the Death Watch. All of the Death Watch Mandalorians had horns on their helmets. That was as a throwback to Darth Maul. Armorer has horns on her helmet. When Moff Gideon came down at the end of this episode in full armor, he had horns on his helmet. So that can't be a coincidence.
That'd be pretty lame if she did that. That's awful.
But she's also, when you think about it, she's so ingrained in the way, and she's so ingrained in their creed and their ideology that she could conceivably
also just sacrifice some of her own people.
But for the greater good of wiping out all of the Mandalorians who take their helmets off and don't follow the creed. So that it can be a pure group. Maybe it'll be smaller.
That's pretty dark for a show like this.
It is. So let's just say maybe it's not her. So then you've got
there's a lot of
evidence pointing to it, right?
Yeah, but I also think that all exists because they want you to think that. Right. I think she's I believe, I may be totally wrong. I think she's the misdirection.
And I don't necessarily disagree. So then who else was it? You've got the survivors on the planet that agreed to take them straight to the Forge, which was the thing they were looking for, which we now know the Forge is where Moff Gideon set up his lair. So, how do they know where it was? Or if they did know where it was, did they... I mean, this guy's got squadrons of TIE interceptors and TIE bombers.
Yeah, they built out that whole place.
You would think if they knew where that was, they wouldn't have just led these people there.
I would also say, given the atmosphere there, you cannot see them coming and going. Okay?
But these guys were already on the planet. They're on the surface.
I'm saying, even on again, what they've got to fly through to get there, okay, and they journeyed a ways to get there.
But once you're on the surface, you don't have those
Bear, you can find Rhode Island from where you are. It doesn't mean you're parked there watching what's going on overhead or what's going on below.
I get that. But so it could be them, though, right? It could also be...
You're saying... Wait. You're saying it's all the helmet taking off people.
Oh, wait a minute. No. Barry, back us up, Barry. You might have something, Barry. Think about this. She's now bringing a bunch of those people onto the ship with the other Mandalorians. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
she's
what I'm
not.
saying.
Maybe she's not. See what I'm saying? Maybe she got set up to bring a whole bunch of spies or traitors, whatever, onto the mothership.
No, totally. I mean, it could be that those people that were the survivors of the Purge that were still living on the surface of Mandalore, maybe they set them up.
I never considered that angle. I had never thought of that.
Oh.
So see what I'm saying?
There's three
so they just
factions
led them,
of Mandalorians.
They just led them to... Did we see any of those people in that battle? Or did they back
Yeah,
off?
a couple, but they all got wiped out real fast.
Okay, see, so that might discount that. But I'm saying this could be a planned betrayal thing.
Yeah, they took them straight to Moff Gideon.
Yeah, but again,
If
they're
they-
taking them to a thing
if
that
they
they
knew
know
where
where
the
it
forge
is,
is-
but it's not useful to them. So,
So you're saying the people on the big sail barge thing. So there's those people.
in the Mad Max sail barge, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's the people who were on the Jack Black planet.
right. That's
And then
Casper
there's-
Reeves
then
and
there's
Wax Wolves
the-
and those guys. The ones that take their helmets off.
Yeah, and then there's the armorer people.
That's right.
So there's three. Oh. Well, it's interesting because they were really happy to see Bo-Katan, and then she's like, it's my fault of what happened to Mandalore, blah, 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 something like that. And they were like...
They were telling her, we still follow you, we still, we'll fight by your side or whatever.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's them, and they blamed her all the time, and when Moff Gideon, he was the only way they could survive. That sounds... I'd rather have
Except
that.
that's when they realized that she, in their minds, if that's the case, betrayed them. And this had to have been all worked out in advance.
Right, but then she explained to them that
saying.
she didn't betray them, even though, everybody thought she did.
But Moff Gideon probably came and said, your Bo-Katan betrayed me. Let me build it. They're the ones who took her right there.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we're hunting for the Forge. Can you want to go with us? And they're like, we can do better. We can take you right to it.
Put it this way: if you go back to the
than
narrative
the armorer.
if you go back to the narrative of the what do we call the woman with the hammer?
The armorer.
The armorer.
The armorer. If you go back to her narrative throughout this season, she set up everybody being there.
She totally did.
She got everybody together. She got them there, and then she left the party.
She lets Bo she tells Bo to take her helmet
There's
off.
no good reason for her
get
to
everybody
go.
in one place.
There's no good reason for her to go there. I kind of felt like part of me felt like she told Bo-Katan to take her helmet off to drive a wedge between Bo-Katan and her own people. Okay? Because then she took her from being accepted to being an other again.
It was her idea to leave the planet they were on and take everybody in the ships and go to Mandalore.
This is what I'm saying.
She's the one that suggested it.
Okay.
And then she said, we need a smaller group to go down as a scouting party. And
But
she
also
offers to
wanted
join
to go.
it.
She also wanted
Right,
to
but
go.
then she
Then
also...
why would she offer to go?
But then she also...
Then she leaves.
Then she was
left
the first
just before the trouble starts.
I wonder. I mean,
So then
Do
there's
you
a
feel
third
like-
there's a third option.
do you feel like that's too dark for?
Oh, I don't
No,
think so.
this
It
show-
just takes us back to like it does. I mean, she made his armor. She, this.
That's what I'm saying.
If we're cutting him loose, okay, of the Mandalorians, and he's going to go back to being a lone wolf, okay, this is how you do it.
So why'd she make that Grogu armor and stuff? I mean,
Well, but she was supportive of Mando until she found out he took his helmet off.
well then.
And then she says, you have to go to Mandalore and go in the living water. Like, she sent him on a death mission
she sent him
as the
there.
only way he could redeem himself.
Well, then no, that's
She
written
might have been
in-
surprised
that's
that he-
written in lore. That
No,
was
it is, but when you think that the planet's uninhabitable, do you really? Yeah, that's the lore, but do you send somebody there?
But there was also people thought it wasn't possible by virtue of that. It wasn't that.
And she even said, "You can't. The only way to do it is to go there, but you can't because there's no planet."
Right.
Basically.
So
So
I
the
don't know. I'm
choices
just
are-
saying we know nothing about her. If you really think about it,
If it wasn't Emily Swallow, I would be fine with it. But I don't want her to be the bad guy.
No, I know,
but she is somebody under that helmet that we're supposed to know, Barry.
I thought about that, but or Kira. No, I don't think she is. I don't think she is.
But so, who are the chances?
I mean, if you think, and I joke about it being Kira, but Kira was working with Darth Maul. So, I mean, look, anything's possible.
Jesus. Wait, then why wouldn't they have? I'm not going down that.
I don't.
No,
buy that.
I was thinking more from the. I was thinking more from the Clone Wars. Whether there's another female character that's out there that.
What about that Bo-Katan's little friend who split off from her? I wonder if she was the one.
Oh, Casca Reeves. Well, it's possible that Casca Reeves and that Axe Woves guy sold her out. But I think that there's enough question. You can question a lot of different.
He also took
groups.
off to get help, and we never signed any more about that. So
he did, which is why I think that he's probably not. I don't think it was his group that set them up. Right? He went up through that crack in the ceiling.
Somehow, show up.
So I didn't even pay that much attention to all this stuff.
I've watched it a couple times.
so there's a number of people who were trying. So it could be him, which is very obvious because they were fighting.
Right.
It could be the armorer, who they're trying to make you think it's her because she left. Then I think it could be.
It could be those survivors that were living on the
survivors from the sail barge,
right?
And Ron Glass. That's not Ron Glass. Who was that? Carl Lumley.
That was the guy from Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
See, do cameos. I have no problem with bringing in actors who are recognizable.
That's an actor doing a role, not like some nutball thing.
That's
you no one even knows his name. And how many people who watch Mandalorian actually knew that was Lizzo and who Lizzo is? I'd say 10%.
I didn't. My son told me.
Don't you love her? You love all music. Don't you love her?
No. I love music. That doesn't mean I love all music.
She can play the flute and stuff.
All right, hang on. There's so much more. I haven't even talked about everything I want to talk about in this episode.
Oh, my God.
All right. So then they introduce us to the Shadow Council, which those of us that have been following this stuff for 30 years know the Shadow Council from the Thrawn books and even from...
who can remember those? I read those in the 80s.
Well...
Anyway.
So that was I thought that was cool because they're waiting for Thrawn's return. You've got Hux in there, who's the father.
God, is brilliant.
The father of Hux, and
they cast his brother.
Yeah, I think they got Domhnall Gleeson's brother to play him.
Brilliant.
He's running something called Project Necromancer, which, if you read between the lines, he's the one who's leading the project to bring the clone body back for Palpatine. So when we get stupid lines in Rise of Skywalker, like, somehow Palpatine returned, well, Filoni and Favreau are like, all right, well, so we'll actually show you how we did it.
Yeah. Could Snoke be like a failed attempt at cloning Palpatine or something?
I think he totally is. We saw Snoke in tubes in last season.
Yeah.
We saw Snoke
Snoke is definitely one of the failed attempts.
They were trying to get something that would hold that much force power, and yeah. So I love that. They tell us that, which we kind of knew, but Gideon's working on his own cloning plan, which we've now seen a couple times, and that's why he killed Dr. Pershing, right? Because he didn't want Hux getting a hold of him.
It's going to be a Luke clone. He's got the hand. It's going to be a Luke clone.
Okay, that's why he wants Grogu.
Wait, let's back up. So, someone was making Snoke, who in theory is leading to the Emperor somehow.
Yes.
Right? Well, is the Emperor in The Rise of Skywalker a clone or the same body?
No, it's a clone body that they made for him, but he needed, I think they were unsuccessful at cloning a body that could hold that much force power, which is why he wanted Rey to take over. He wanted to transfer his whatever into Rey. So
wait. So Dr. Pershing, I thought Dr. Pershing was working for Moff Gideon.
He was.
And it wasn't his ultimate thing to clone the Emperor or Snoke or whoever?
He was working with Gideon. We find out now that there was a separate crew of people working with Hux that were trying to run this Project Necromancer, which I think...
Do you think they were both trying to resurrect the Emperor?
No, because Gideon does the whole Scooby-Doo thing in this episode where he tells you what his evil plan is, that he's looking to take the best of the Jedi, the Mandalorians, and I think some other crew, and he wanted to build super soldiers that he could then rule the galaxy with.
Like Deadpool.
He's
making Deadpool.
He wants to, they're all waiting for Thrawn to come back, and he's like, screw Thrawn, I'm taking over, and I'm going to create super soldiers, clones, to do it. Okay. I mean, he literally laid out his plan in the episode, which I thought was cool. So he's trying to do an end run around Thrawn. They also introduced Captain Palon, who was in the Thrawn novels too,
yep.
And he's the one that
remember this.
Yes.
When's the last? I have not read those in 35 years.
Well, I read them 35 years ago, but I also listened to the audiobooks within the last 5 years. But they also this character was also in Clone Wars, at least briefly. So. So he says he wants them to downplay their activities so that they're all seen as independent warlords, so that the galaxy doesn't realize that they're working together and that they're, basically trying to bring the Empire back. So, and Gideon the whole time was like, yeah, I think we need new leadership. We're not sitting around waiting for Thrawn to come back. So there's definitely going to be a power struggle between Gideon and Thrawn, or Gideon might die at the end of this season, and that's going to clear the path for Thrawn to come back.
No. You're going to have a showdown between Thrawn and Gideon. They would be
unless he gets stepped on by a mythosaur in the next episode.
What's that?
That's the thing.
I have a feeling he's getting stepped on or eaten by a mythosaur.
Where does the Mando fit into any of this? Like, nowhere.
But that's why I feel like I think that they're going to wrap a lot of this stuff up in the season finale.
Do you think there's going to be a cliffhanger at the end of this?
I don't think there is.
There's a lot they need to cover.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. IG-12. How great was IG-12?
Yes.
That's kind of...
Yes.
The only person who thinks it's great is someone who bought the IG-11.
Come on. First of all, seeing that little Babu freak guy.
It was cool, but serves no purpose whatsoever.
No, I don't. I disagree.
It totally does.
Because now Grogu can keep up with the Mando.
Because he doesn't have
to... He's in a little basket.
He doesn't have to waddle everywhere.
But in the basket, he can't fight. He can't help out in the basket. All he can do is hide and cover up.
When he broke up that fight, no, that was great.
It was great. He can run now. I mean, it gives him the ability to keep up on missions with Mando.
Okay, but meanwhile, his best friend and master and father is getting kidnapped. You didn't lift a Force claw to help him at all.
Yeah, I will say,
what's up with that?
A battle droid or something else might have been a little bit better. Something that you couldn't push over.
And it would be nice if there was some kind of shield.
That's what I'm saying.
To keep him safer. But
I'm saying
I thought it was great. I loved that whole sequence when he was walking around saying yes and no to everything.
Yeah. You're going to buy the hot toys when they come out with it?
No, I already have an IG-11. I don't need an IG-12.
But I'm sorry. When they said Mando is saying, it was like one of my favorite parts of the episode. Mando's saying no, and he's like, yes. He's like, no, yes.
Well, then I just love how Mando goes, this isn't working for me.
But I just love that here's this character who's never had an opportunity to speak in the entire series, and there's basically a yes and no button, and all of a sudden he went from being a toddler to being a teenager in that moment.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
All right, I'll scan through my notes and see if there's anything else.
Do you have more notes?
I watched it a couple times. I loved how during the final battle, Mando and Bo-Katan were literally shooting the guys in the gap between the helmet and their armor.
As Mandos, like John Wick. This was like the John Wick episode.
As Mandos, they know where the vulnerable spots are in that type of an armor, and I thought that was great that they did that.
Yep.
And those Praetorian guards. Yeah. That actually made something from Rise of Skywalker from Last Jedi cool. Those were cool to see those guys show up.
They were supposed. I mean, if you read some of the comic series,
they were supposed to be the baddest of the badass.
They were the baddest of the. They were supposed to be the ultimates of the troopers, and yep.
So I don't know, and then Taz Vizsla dying. I loved how he was shooting his blaster so much that it literally overheated and melted.
That was great.
That was great.
Yeah, really good. I tell you, I love bringing in the heir to the empire stuff. I think that is just. I think there's a lot. If they just pick and choose the different elements that they want from that, because obviously they're off that story.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot they could do, and there's characters that we want to see that we could still see. So,
and I just hope that they make him a little bit more like the Thrawn from the books and a little bit less like the Thrawn from Rebels. Because Rebels
was... see Mara Jade?
No, I
don't.
don't.
See Mara Jade. I do.
Rebels Thrawn was cool, but he just always... Every episode he failed and was like, "Oh, it's all going according to my plan." Like I need.
Yeah. No,
I don't really remember those books much at all, but
they're really. Those are actually the. I've not read the hundreds of books they've released, but those
were the first. Well, those were not the first. They were
the first in the return of the expanded universe. They weren't the first books ever written, but that was when Star Wars came back.
Weren't they like the? I'm trying to think. There was the Splinter of the Mind's Eye. There was those 3 Han Solo books, and then there were those.
I think there were some Lando books, and then there was
were some other things that were.
I remember like getting every book that came out. I had the those Han Solos, which are horrible. Splinter of the Mind's Eye was great, and then there were those books. I think I still have them on my shelf somewhere.
Han Solo at Star's End.
I would suspect that Splinter of the Mind's Eye isn't canon just for the.
No, it's definitely not canon for that.
Little unrequited love story there.
Okay. All right. So Wednesday we'll find out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you're hearing us babble on and on about this, you'll already have seen the finale, and so will we. But we haven't seen it yet.
We'll be totally wrong by that point.
Yeah, who knows?
This episode almost made up for the episode before it.
Yeah. Well, there was some stuff. Well, they actually went and fought for the guys to come back, but that was whatever. Yeah. The helmet off guys. Okay. All right, Picard. Can't spend as much time on Picard.
Yeah, I don't have nearly as many notes about Picard.
It's better than this. It is. It's been more consistent. It's been.
You're the one who loves. You're fickle. You were loving Mandalorian,
it has
and
gotten
now you
progressively better as it's moved down the line. They got past the initial stuff that was a little rough, and. This is nowhere. I mean, Mando's been like up and down and up and down. We basically got it's like the Star Trek movies. Every other one is good. That's the way the Mando season is.
I would say, in my opinion, the first half of this season was rocky, and since they got the band back together, it's been amazing. But
right, yes, no, but what I'm saying is Mando has been very, very inconsistent, and I think this has been on a steady upstream from the beginning.
And I think other than the one episode, I think Mando's been very consistent.
I think other than that one Jump the Shark episode, it's been perfectly fine.
You're forgetting the episode that you guys both ripped on with that was almost entirely the Dr. What's his name. So
I liked that episode. True. I liked that episode. I didn't rip on it.
You're right. Okay, everything sucks. But no, I didn't like that episode. Anyway, okay, Picard. So, they're all together. They killed the bad woman.
Which was great that we didn't have to see her overact.
It's
for
nice
3
that
episodes.
it's like we don't have to drag. They're really cutting things off that we don't have to drag out.
Right.
Like she's gone. Next story.
Yeah, we totally had the Borg thing figured out. You know, why would they want Picard's DNA?
We all said that, but I didn't realize that Jack had something to do with it.
Yeah,
I mean. The greatest storyline in the history of Next Generation was Best of Both Worlds, right? So, I knew it had to somehow tie to all of that. But I like how they've really brought in a lot of elements of it. Like, even that syndrome that he's had, and we've known about that for years.
It
wasn't that. Like, they've tied in a lot of really deep Easter eggs like that, which I think have been really good.
Admiral Shelby, who was...
Didn't see that coming.
Boy, God, no. And so here's the cool
when they
thing.
said her name, I'm like, is it going to be the same actress?
In the Titan book series, she was Riker's first officer, on the Titan, and then ultimately became the captain of Titan when he became an admiral. So they didn't go there with it, but they kept that tie-in, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, here's what I thought was so interesting about bringing Shelby back, because she was so anti-Borg, right?
Yep.
Like, she was the Borg hunter. And now she's endorsing a Starfleet program
That's
that
exactly
essentially
what they said on the Ready Room.
Turns the ships into a Borg collective, which is like, why would she go down that road?
Because she's a fucking changeling. Come on,
Well,
seriously. No.
They killed her in this episode.
Doesn't matter.
Though.
She's a changeling. It's
That's what we were wondering about.
I think
Was
the
she
changelings.
changing,
I think the changelings brought their whole thing was bringing the Borg back, and I think they easily sacrifice their own people to do that. They want Starfleet destroyed, and that's the vehicle for doing it. I think everybody that backed this plan at the leadership level, that backed the plan for making unifying the fleet, is probably part of this conspiracy.
So I was a little confused, only because all the stuff last season with Agnes, and she becomes the Borg queen and she takes off at the end of it. But then in this episode, they said that they hadn't seen the Borg in over a decade, but they were in last season.
Well, but that was also in the past, right? Or didn't that timeline get changed?
I guess.
Right.
Well, and I did write this down. So the what's his name? The captain of Captain Shaw.
Yep.
He says, "Forget all that weird stuff that happened on the Stargazer. The real Borg are still out there." So I guess that's their way of saying, "Oh, don't forget about what we did last season."
Kind of. The Borg Queen is the original actress.
They never showed her face.
They never showed her face, but they said it is Alice Krieg.
It was her voice.
Oh, is it really?
It was her voice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I love that they... Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, no, go ahead.
I love that they use the transporter. I mean, you think about that.
It's almost like Walking Dead. Everyone's got Borg in them.
Right. I mean, they put it in the transporter so everybody gets infected.
That and the fact that they took the stupid-ass thing that they did with Picard's body last season and they made it work in this plot. Okay? Because by doing what they did with putting Picard in the manufactured body, he has no Borg DNA.
Right.
Okay? But his corpse did. It's like it ties in. You know, they couldn't have done this plot quite the way they did without that. And I mean, I think this there's a lot of redemption in this season. I will say, I guess moving ahead, I got like teared up when they walked onto that ship, and it was like the first time we saw it, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. And you know, when we saw the ship in the docking bay or Bay 12 there, but when they walked onto there, and it was like, I was like, holy crap, this is real.
I can't believe they actually built it.
I thought
maybe did anyone watch that Ready Room?
Ship,
they built that whole bridge, rebuilt that bridge. Did you guys watch that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they built every inch of that.
So my first thought was, send it to Ticonderoga. Because like, why not?
I can't believe they built that, and that's going to be all there is.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of it next episode. But
no, I'm just saying,
the expense of rebuilding that from scratch to just have it show up in 2 episodes.
And all the electronics. I wonder if they're going to spin somebody off to do something else.
I loved Picard's comment about, I didn't realize how much I missed the carpet. That was a great line.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that was cool.
And then having Majel Barrett's voice as the computer.
Oh my God! Yes. Yeah. You know, the bridges in Discovery and in Strange New World aren't actually completely physical sets. That a lot of that is CG, and this is actually a 100% physical set.
That's interesting. I'm just surprised that they built it.
That's great.
That did not come. I'm just wondering. They're not dismantling it. I'm telling you.
I know, but isn't the guy literally rebuilding that in Ticonderoga right now?
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with anything.
No, I know, but he is licensed to them. Like,
what if he built it and they filmed? Did they film those? No, we saw Will Wheaton go on the set.
Yeah, we saw Will Wheaton
when it was on the Paramount lot, I think.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
They're not filming that in Canada, right?
No, that they said it was on the lot.
That's in L.A.
And when you just going back to the transporter for a second, Ensign Rowe or whatever she was, she wouldn't use the transporters. If you remember, she came over on a shuttle, She said, "I don't trust the transporters."
Oh, well, if you can't trust the people that are operating it, you don't trust the transporter.
Right,
so,
and who was the first changeling that they found? The transporter operator.
Right. So, and even the explanation of that makes a lot of sense. It's like, you don't really think about transporter technology because you don't want to. But
there's been so many things in Star Trek over the years that you've just rolled your eyes and go, all right, it's technobabble. You're right. This actually made sense.
Yeah.
Now, cool. Seven did not go on that ship with them.
She did. Seven and Raffi stayed behind.
Yeah, and I'm interested what they're going to wind up doing.
I'd be okay if Raffi dies before.
I would too. I think the handoff from Shaw to Seven.
Was well done.
Was well done, but it was also like, damn, we're going to get a Titan series at some point. I think we just that totally queued her up.
And we held her back because they didn't want any
and she's gonna show up with that ship at some point. It's gonna be
she's gonna figure out a way to take it back.
I feel bad that Wesley's not in this. I mean, the way they put his character into it be somebody else, that's kind of nonsense. He should have been on this.
I will also say that they at least said his name this time around.
Yeah.
But like the guy's doing like the freaking after show on YouTube, and he doesn't get to be in the series.
He's not an actor anymore. Okay, you saw that in the, in his cameo last year.
In the episode that he cameoed in, it was pretty weak.
Yeah, it was Will Wheaton. It wasn't Wesley Crusher.
Well, give him some acting lessons and have him come be Captain Crusher.
But
I know I texted you guys this, but that the reunion was amazing. Seeing them all back on the bridge of the Enterprise, and my brain just always goes back to how badly we got robbed of that with the Star Wars sequels. Like there should have been a scene where we had that crew back together, even if it was just one scene. And I know that wasn't part of their plan, but when you see it done so well. Like, I never knew I needed to see the 7 of them back on that bridge, but once I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
It was amazing, and it just, it was perfect. And it didn't look like a bunch of old people shuffling onto the bridge. It was, they set it up nicely. And you know what? The other thing, too, is like, Geordi would totally rebuild that ship.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And the explanation of why and how made perfect sense. They had the nacelles from another ship that was damaged.
Yeah.
They had to go back to Viridian 3 and get the dish off the ship because off the surface because the Prime Directive, which made they set that up in the movie. They said that there was a pre-warp civilization on the next planet. I thought that was great.
My only gripe was Frontier Day fireworks in space. Like, how do you do fireworks in space?
That was weird. Like, who's going to see it? And also, is the Enterprise F going to make it through that next episode? I don't think so.
I like how they said the E was unavailable, and Worf's like, it's not my fault.
It's not my fault. So it could be like in dry dock somewhere, or in space dock.
Did something happen in Insurrection, or I don't remember those movies.
No, it didn't. It would have had to have been afterwards. But I think there's probably they'll probably do a comic tie-in or something like that where he gets it beat up pretty badly.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But if you'd gone in there and the E had been there, you'd been like, whatever. But
I love the E.
I do too. But you don't have that. It did not have that same resonance.
No, that had to be the D.
And this is when you saw that.
And I don't love the D.
When you say that, and it's like the fat one, as they said early on. When you saw that, and it was just like, wow. And again, like I kind of teared up. I was like, whoa. I did not see it. But you know what? That was as much a part of that series as they were.
Oh yeah.
It was the thing. It was the thing that tied them all together. And they on the E they were all ready to go. They were all ready to go their separate ways. But on this, that was great. So
just seeing them back together, and I mean the corny dialogue of Riker being like, "Oh, we're the crew of the D, and we're a family." But it just all worked. It just all worked.
Yeah.
And then just how quickly they all fell back into their old roles when everybody was in their spot and they were calling him captain and his, when he says engage, it was just,
I like that. When she says, Captain, recognizing Captain Jean-Luc, he said, I accept the demotion.
Yeah. It's just great.
And just when you heard her voice, it was awesome. So,
I hope, and I have confidence, but I hope that the finale doesn't disappoint.
I'd be very surprised at this point if it does. I hope
they
we don't
really sort of pulled all these strings together.
I hope we don't spend 40 minutes dealing with Jack. I hope we get the time that we do with the rest of them.
Very willing to let them jack him into the Borg collective. Whether he just stood there and was like, okay.
Honestly, I think he's got something up his sleeve.
I think he's more
in control
than they think he is. Yeah. I totally think that.
And I hope so, because it was kind of like he just was like, all right, fine, take me.
Yeah.
No, I think he's going to be like, I got Picard in me. It's more than I do have Locutus.
And I think he's basically going to, at the critical moment, he's going to tell them all to leave the universe or fly into the sun or whatever, and they're going to follow him. And
seeing how good this season has been just really makes me feel so sad that we got those 2 crappy first seasons.
Yeah,
it kind of does, but
because maybe we could have gotten 2 or 3 really good. If this had been the first season, we could maybe have gotten 2 more really good seasons.
You know what I thought, Barry? I thought if they had taken the first 2 seasons to bring the crew back together, and he over the course of those 2 seasons visited each of them where they were, had some kind of interaction with them, and you just kind of set them up, and then this was the capstone. He spent some time looking for Beverly, didn't find her, whatever. And, that could have worked a whole lot better. We saw Riker early on, but that was it. Riker and Troy, but that was it. And then Data, I think, again, like I said, we have what we have now. I feel much better about it. And I was very critical of this to begin with. But it's been in a straight upward trajectory since the beginning. And I'll tell you, if I could go through that what we've seen so far with a shopping list, I could totally put together a good show. If you take LaForge's daughter, the bridge crew member, Seven, a few other people. Boy, the episode before last, I was very surprised to see the either Vulcan woman or Vulcan/Deltan woman killed. I thought they were kind of setting her up as a,
I actually was a little surprised they killed Shaw, only because I could have seen him. I would have watched the show with him and Seven.
You knew he was going.
Yeah,
from
I think so too.
First time you saw him.
Yeah, I think he
was gonna be heroic and die.
Which I was fine with, but I liked. I grew to like that character. So
I did too, and and I'll say one thing in memoriam. I will say he earned who he was. Okay, it's like he was a total prick to Picard and Riker, but he had every reason to be. When you got into his backstory, he wasn't forgiving them for what he'd lived through, and I'm not sure I could either. To lose every single one of your friends and then be told, "Oh, it's okay now." We've totally undone it. Well, surprise, they never actually did. So
yeah. Right.
He was right. Here's my last question, though. Is this the second time Picard almost destroys Starfleet? I mean, if they had,
this one's not his fault.
Oh, if they had not put him, said, "Oh, he's all clear," and sent him off again, this wouldn't be happening. They're using
Beverly's fault.
They're using his DNA
doctor.
again.
It's never been his fault.
Well, and the Borg have earned their place as the big bads in the galaxy. I mean, they almost watered the Borg down to, in a lot of ways, but the Borg in the first couple of appearances and all the way even through First Contact were like the big bads, and
Yeah, I will say I think they've intentionally avoided any tie-in with Seven and the Borg thing for the purpose of keeping that character viable.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, and they also made it clear that this transporter thing only affects people under the age of 25 because that's when their frontal lobe is fully developed or whatever.
That was a little weird.
Yeah.
But
okay. Next week, we're going to wrap everything up again. So if you're sick of Mando and Picard talk...
One more week.
Just one more week.
One more. So anyway. All right. It is now...
Let's just go. Let's wrap it.
Yeah, we can wrap it. We'll do what's in the box next time.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, we went long on this. So, happy birthday, Jennifer Garner.
Yes.
It's her birthday today. She's 51. That's a great looking 51. I wish I looked that good when I was 51.
Yeah, we like her. She's a great actress, and we've liked her since
seems like
the
a
beginning.
wonderful human being.
Yeah.
She does. Her Instagram is great. There was a clip of her on her Instagram where she's out in front of... She's got a billboard on Sunset Boulevard of her new show, Apple show, The Last Thing You Told Me. And they're filming a promo, and they're like, okay, hold up the book. And then people are coming up to her. And so she's holding up the book and like, oh, it's starting this Friday, blah, blah. Some guy's like, hey, just random, hey, aren't you that famous movie star? And she's like, she goes, no, you look like a movie star. You're so handsome. He's like, no, who are you? You're a big movie star. She's like, I'm an actress. She's like embarrassed by that and so humble about it. It was very cute. She's great.
She'll
and Alias...
Always be Sydney Bristow to me.
Alias is great. Alias was one of those shows that just...
Yep. Not long ago,
anyway.
I actually saved the video file of her reading the Go the Fuck to Sleep book, which was just hilarious. She has such a good time doing that. So,
So anyway, happy birthday. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.